Hello everybody, this is Brian Funk, and I have a new free Ableton Live pack for you. I was shopping at a dollar store and found this really cheap little keyboard that sounds like this. It's got a few different sounds and some drums. And that's about the end of the excitement. It's not very useful as an instrument, but I took it and made it into 8 Ableton Live instruments that you can use in your own music and that are making the music that you hear right now. So let's go take a look at what we got here. So this is the dollar store pack that I've made. This comes with the Toy Synths Ableton Live pack that I've created some time back. I just added this on to the collection because I thought it fit well. And you'll also get this collection if you are a member of my music production club right now. So that's a great way to get all this stuff. If not, the free pack comes with just a few of these presets for you. And there are 8 of them in total, and each one has a collection of macro variations that will give you some different sounds. So I sampled each one of the 3 instrument sounds, and they're color coded here, as well as the drum sounds. And I made some interesting drum sounds by playing around with those samples. So I just thought I'd take you through. Here's the first sound. All of these sounds start at the init, which is basically exactly how they sound on the keyboard, except you can play them polyphonically now. And we've got some controls over things like attack or the release time. Timbre is an interesting control because it plays around with how the samples are distributed across the keyboard, and it changes the sound quite a lot, like especially on this one, nice and warm as we play around with those timbre controls here. But let's bring it back to 0. We've got a filter, and this one has an effect called memory blur, which is widening our sound a bit. So we've got some of our macro variations that we can play with. This one's called bells, and this one's called thoughts. This is one of the really cool features in Live 11 is that you can do these variations on your instrument racks. One's called pump. Kind of a cool sound. And I'll take it to the next, let's go to the next type of sound, which comes from the flute sound on this keyboard. And you'll see same macros on this particular device. Different variations, of course. It's a nice kind of like deep sound to this. This one's called smoke. And that one's called open. And you'll also notice, we'll go back to our kind of default preset here. We've got an audio effect rack that comes with this pack too. And right now it's not doing anything. It's on no effects, but we've got a few variations to our macros we can play with. This one's called mellow moves. And the idea behind this effect rack is to give you some motion inside your sounds. Use it on any sound, not just the sounds in this pack. Slow growl. Vibrating. What's happening is we have a filter, and we've also got an LFO attached to that filter. There's a delay. The shifter device is being used in here, and so is a chorus. And it gives us some fun movement to these sounds. Let's go to the next one. Our first sound is still going because we got quite a long release on that. So let's go over here. This is from the flute sound. All right, and of course we can put on our effects here to take these to new dimensions. Let's go now to the piano sound. This one has a crunch control. So we can add kind of like a filter drive to this. And this also has the delay built in. Since this isn't a sustained sound, it's just kind of a pluck that fades over time, I figured there's no point in having the attack, decay, sustain, release on this particular instrument. So we have a delay instead. And again, this timbre control. Mixed with some really nice E-piano sounds. And I've got some pre-programmed macros for you. long haul. Then we have a variation on this. Now, the difference with these lush versions of these particular presets is in the way the samples are distributed. On the first set, the ones that are just called marimba, and then flute, and then piano, each sample comes from a different part of the keyboard. So it's spread out so that you get the lower sample on the lower keys, a medium sample on the medium keys, and the higher sample is a higher key. On the lush ones, though, I took all three of those samples and just stretched them across the whole keyboard. So you have three samples playing back. And I think that's like apparent on like here as you listen to the thing, the looping of the sample. You're getting more than one sample playing each note, which gives it a more lush sound. And we've got a pad. So I took the piano sound and I looped it anyway. Made a third preset with it. Because I like this like kind of like artifact in the high register that happens when we loop this sample. You could always filter that out if you want. But I find it kind of pleasing. And we've got some more variations. So if you think about it, we've got these 7 presets, each with 4 variations. That's 28 presets of sounds that you can play around with. And then, of course, we've got the drum rack. And we've got our 3 original sounds. They're called OG. So we got the kick sound, the snare sound, and the cymbal sound. Not all that fascinating, but you can affect each one with the macro controls. To get some control, you can do things like filter things, play around with the spread, or transpose, which is kind of exciting. Basically, the way the drum rack works is each row of pads is one of those samples mixed up and manipulated. So we got all our kicks, all our snares, and all of our cymbals. And the top row is just a bunch of fun I had with some leftover pads. So here we've pitched the kick down. And now this one's got more of a knock to it, more like an actual kick drum. So it's kind of useful. Then we got one called whipped. We got the snare OG, a pitched down snare, and the snare made to sound like a hi-hat. And then a slow whip, so kind of a reversed cymbal sound. Here is our cymbal. And then we made it into a gong by pitching it down -25. And we've got a splash by pitching it up an octave. And then a nice reversed cymbal. And up top, a cymbal kind of hi-hat type sound. I made a rim shot out of the snare, a click out of the kick, and sort of like a reverse cymbal out of the kick drum. Fun sounds. So that's the pack. It's a whole bunch of fun out of just this cheap little keyboard. Really excited how far I've been able to take these pointless sounds, more or less, and turn them into very useful instruments that you can use in your own productions. So if you want to get this for free, there's a few sample instruments that you can get on my website, brianfunk.com, or you can join the Music Production Club and get the whole collection as well as the toy synths and all the other good stuff that come with the Music Production Club. Or if you prefer, pick up the toy synths, get all of these sounds, and as well, you get the dollar store synths. So thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you enjoy this pack, and if you make any music with it, please let me know. Have a great day.